All right, hello everybody, and welcome to today's lesson about jazz enclosures. Well, just how about just enclosures for beginners? Because I don't know how jazzy it's going to be just yet, if ever, right? Because jazz is something I've always been curious about for sure. Always pushing myself in that direction, but have very barely been able to approach it, and only so with my travels and endeavors here, as you see on this channel, into music theory. So while I get my screen set up here, because as I talk here, things are getting a bit confusing here. Okay, here I am. And what we got today is like a little three different enclosure methods, and that we'll just go over, try to be as quick as I can on today's lesson, and we'll just see what we get out of it. Where I got this lesson from, I think, is the first part to start with, and I'll hopefully be able to find it again, and I'll try to put that link in the description. It is not a YouTube video for once. I've got probably a couple of those I want to make, but anyways, things are whirling around my mind about videos I should be making and could be making, but there's been a delay this week. Just a side tangent here, sorry. That I've got a little bit of a cold. I might cough or something during this video, hopefully not. But I am getting over it. It was just a cold, but a lengthy one at that. And so that impacted my ability to make any videos and may impact some of the, you probably hear it in my voice, some of today's video. Anyways, jazz enclosures. I found this on a website under a search, Google search for. I was just making an inquiry about jazz enclosures, and I found this website that had a cool description about it. So I learned them, practiced them, and thought, okay, that's kind of neat and kind of new for my playing. So why don't we make a video about that today? That website also, because it was by jazz people in jazz speak, it used, and I always find this funny, it's like you can always get like 99% of the way there, 90% of the way there, and the 10% like you're left to struggle with. What I'm saying is, if this was years ago, I would have probably been gung ho about what I read, but I wouldn't have been able to get this far with it because it was in standard notation, meaning, them little note things on that music chart. Standard notation. Let me assume that you all know what it is so I don't have to describe. That what they used in grade school with notes and stuff. And, of course, what classical musicians all know well, and people who can really write in standard notation. That is a huge skill. Steve Vai was doing that at 18 years old and transcribed Frank Zappa's Black Page and got himself a gig with Frank Zappa because he did that. Pretty incredible, in my view. Hats off to Steve Vai. Tribute guitar right here. Anyways, not any kind of guitar playing I approach, and this thing is better off as a coffee table considering his level of playing. But anyways, we'll digress there. Um, the uh, um, the ultimate thing is that it used standard notation. So, but I was able to now go, okay, wait a minute. I know that it's FACE is between the lines, and the lines are EGB. Every good boy deserves fudge, right? Just the same way your guitar is. Every animal drinks good beer, whatever you do. Okay, so I knew that, and I interpreted it into tab or Marco speak here, which is the mind's eye visual guitar method here. And so that's why I felt like I could kind of plagiarize that lesson today, because we're putting it into more our easy understanding, trying to make it see how it works in this guitar geometry kind of way. So this is what I found. They use the key of G, which I thought was kind of cool because everything is usually explained in the key of C, and this doing this in the key of G, but only brings one sharp note, which is the F sharp. Pretty easy. And it moves it to an area of the fretboard here that is more conducive to your playing. If this was in C, it would have been a little bit more up in the middle area of the neck around the 12th fret. And maybe not as, and you couldn't have played it exactly right down low. There would have been like some open string or something. So that being said, that gets us this. So the chords we can see are up here, and I color coded everything for the notes that we're going to play for each chord: A minor, D7, G, A minor in yellow, the D7 in the red, the G in the blue. You can see that. And as standard in, or typical in jazz, I guess typical, for the most part, you got 4 beats in a measure, usually with a shuffle. So you got, excuse me, that keeps me from coughing. You usually have 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5. And that'll come up later, because as we explore what we're going to learn here today, it's kind of neat that this teaching also kind of shows how important, and this is what I brought up on the my last video with the Eddie Van Halen scaling thing that we talked about, if you saw that video, the importance of rhythm and not being so focused on as a guitarist as scales over chords, what scale for what chord. A lot of things you can do will really be dependent on rhythm, because I'm going to show you here that the enclosure tricks that we use sound okay. And I don't think, this is like, it's not going to fly into ultimate jazz master here, because you learned a couple of enclosures, and probably the cheapest ones, probably the most vanilla basic ones that no jazz or whatever use, because they're so basic. But you'll find that they sound better. You can tweak how they sound by adjusting the rhythm and where you place these notes. And if you're a real guru and a real listener and really mastered, the art of listening to rhythm, you can know, like, oh, we're putting that over the and, or you're putting that over the E of the E and. And I'm not going that far, but I'll just use my peripheral thought. I don't know if that would be the right way to, my just making up words there, but just kind of just guesstimate, I guess would be the better way I would say it. So what we get here is in a 2-5-1. Oh, also these are enclosures over a 2-5-1, so that's kind of like a twofold project here. We're also learning how to play a 2-5-1. Let me say this too, another point here. What I liked about this video is they started without, or this lesson that I saw online, is they started without any enclosures at all, any jazz stuff at all. They just simply showed what you would typically play vanilla over this 2-5-1, and that was great for me. I really loved that, because I always thought there was this more deeper complexity to it, and that's because a lot of these jazz type lessons, without giving forethought to where our real new beginners really coming from, are lose you in the fact that you're thinking that there's this big complex stuff when there really isn't. There is a ground zero you can start from. And that's what they showed here, which is what I'm going to show you here. So that was really cool. That and it gets it into your ears, because what we want to do first, and this is the third fold of this lesson, is getting things in your ears. We want to take this pattern, this line, should I say, this. Everything right here is a melody line, and I've got the notes listed out in the order that you play them: 1, 2, 3, 4 on the beat. The 1, 2, 3, 4 of each measure. So remember, these chords are going by as A minor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and I just sang the melody out because now it's in my head, and that's what you want to do first. You want to establish this vanilla melody in your head and hear how you can outline the changes. That's what I was saying. The third fold thing is because that's something I was never really doing, is being able to hear in my melody lines. I've always heard about it, but I was never able to conceptualize being able to hear the chords outlined in the melody, because it's not totally obvious. But let me see if you can hear just without any background track or anything. And we'll start out by hitting the wrong note, which was actually the right note. It was I flicked the open A string, but we want this right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Could you hear the change there? We've got 4. I played the wrong note to start with, by the way. We've got 4 notes for each part except the G, where we just play 1. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. With that understanding, if you can't hear it at first, it eventually becomes clear that you're hearing O. A minor, D7 to the G, the 1, 2 chord, 2 chord, 5 chord, 5 chord, 1. So how does that work? Let's even just go over that, because I think there's some neat things that a beginner could pick up there. Someone just really coming from ground zero type of lesson. How does that work? How does the sound work there to outline the chord? Well, what this is we're going straight up the arpeggio to out. There's nothing, you couldn't more clearly outline this A than by hitting. It's just going up, and we're just arpeggiating the A chord on all 4 notes of the A. Actually, A minor 7, or using the 7th note there, the G. On every note, all 4 notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You've clearly spelled out. More clear than that. Now, when you get to the D7, it's kind of pretty how it goes. And there's a little bit of emotion there. That's kind of a part where you're like, oh, if you allow yourself to be that sensitive to your lines and playing, and open to your emotions in music, and I think you are. That's why you're a musician, or trying to be. So it's a half step right there. From that 4, it says 4 into 1 is where I'm going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. There was a couple of things there that you can realize now that it's so obvious. There's a change in direction. We're going from low to high, low, higher, higher, higher. We're raising up, then we change direction. We move a half step, which is good for, half steps are like the money notes in music. Those are where the real emotion is. And those 2 chords are a half step apart. You're hitting a note there that is not in the D, and not in the A minor chord, so it's clear to your mind that you just went off the chord tones, but only by a half step. So there's leading there. That's a good voice leading, is what I think that would be called, typically described by more trained professionals. And we have the 3rd there, which is the no, that wouldn't be the 3rd. That would be the that's the 3rd, the F sharp. And an F sharp is not in the A chord, so we fell down to the F sharp. Walked into the 3rd of the D7 chord, so it's a nice strong tone to walk in on. 3. Then we're at a scale tone. Then we're at the root and the 7. So 3 scale tone, root, 7. 3 nice step, root, 7. And then now we're going to we've used up our 4 beats. of the D7 chord, we need to get into the G, and we're going to fall into the G with a note in the G chord that is not in the D7, but it's also the third of the G, which is the B, and it's a half step away from the 5 chord. So you can see why this 2-5-1 is so popular, with the ability of these melody lines to do such things. Why these chords go together so well is because melody lines can also be so, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, just be so slick in there. It works so well. So now you can see why does this work, and you want to get that in your head. So we want to just be, then eventually you can whistle it and go, something like that. And while you're, get that kind of in your mind as like an earworm. Earworms are always annoying, I know, but that also, what I think is, you get so ingrained with it, then your mind will start going, well, hey, let's change that up a bit. Let's, and you'll want to come up with your own ways to jazz these lines up. But those were just chromatic lines here. Let's do some what could be described as chromatic enclosures. Even though it's just called enclosures, enclosures use a form of chromaticism, a little bit above, below kind of thing. And so we'll call them chromatic enclosures. So, and just to ramble on about what I did there, it was, I went from the 1 and I just walked up to the 2. And then I'm putting these notes on different beats. Now we're trying to fit more notes over the beat, so I'm using by necessity the and the E and the and without even thinking about it. So I got a backing track here. Let's put it over the backing track and hear it really quick. All right. And let's try to, and that was kind of cool. You see how well it fits, but it's very vanilla, and there's nothing really too jazzy sounding about it. But let's try to mix up the rhythm a bit. Not bad, just by trying to bounce around the rhythm and swing it a little bit. Not too jazzy, but definitely a little bit of play on the rhythm. And okay, we'll move into some of these enclosures. So before I do that, it's based on these chords here too. There is, in case you're wondering about the chords, this bit here, you might say, hey, that Mark, that's a, isn't that the major shape we went over in the triads the other day? You're correct. And isn't that C, E, G, the major triad of C? Yeah, it is. But look at the A minor chord. You get to learn a lot about chords here, how when you stack notes, you're stacking notes on top of other original chords, and how the 1 and the 6 are so related. Here's why. The 6th chord is actually an A stacked on top of a 1 triad. The A, C, E, G. When you get to 7th chords, it becomes really, you start to see the relationships. That's why 7th chords are so popular in jazz, because these relationships allow these melodies to start really tying into each other, and the chords to start really having a kind of a puzzle link up to other chords, if you will. So or given the ability for melodies to really connect the chords. Maybe that's a better way to think about it. So we have the yellows right there, and the one there is also there. We could even play this as the one, but I like that better. And then our D chord is just basically this. And that's maybe not a typical way you'd play the D7. I might play it more like this. Well, no, I probably wouldn't play that, but I was doing a 2-5-1 would be. I might play something up here, even with an extension there. Regardless, in jazz, you wouldn't find such typically a plain use of this D7. There you're going to have a way better, cooler, hipper sound with extensions and everything. So this is going to be like, you know, very probably this is your, you know, your lesson chord, call it that, your lesson fingering or lesson shape would be the way to think that. Standard D, F, A, C, all those gray notes. And then of course the one, nice jazz fingering there. And notice you can see how I pick them with my thumb and I can't get that. Sorry. Try this with my thumb and the and my three fingers there, picking the. See for that. For the chords, I don't use my pick. I will just use my. Another way you could actually, you know, just using different parts of the neck in different shapes. You could even go. Okay, so I know what you're saying. You're screaming at me. Just get on with these enclosures. Okay, you've explained it enough. Can we get to the enclosures? Here they go. Here they are. Here we go. To start with, you'll notice in the backing track during the count-in, it goes click, click. There's a 4-beat count-in, but it goes click, click, kaboom, and go. On that kaboom, I'm going to start with an enclosure to enclose this first note here, the 1. As explained to me on the video, this gets you over the bar line, meaning you're actually starting before the beat, the bar line of this chord, which helps propel us into the chord sonically. So they say. I'll buy that for $1. And how we're going to do that is we're going to use a, let's get a different color. Let's make what do we want for our enclosure color? Let's use this kind of mottled yellow color. How about a green? Green for enclosures. I like that. That's cool. Yeah, that's a cool enclosure color right here. So we're going to enclose this one. And this isn't the only way to do enclosures. And there's a couple different ones. There's 3 different ones we're going to go over in this thing here. Now, and we'll just, instead of we've already used numbers, so we'll use A and B. Some will say you can use the note 2 ahead, 1 behind, or 1 ahead and 2 behind. I think there's some definitely room for experimentation there. I don't think there's any hard and fast rule about this, as much as people would like that to be, so that you can just learn jazz and make it easy. And well, if jazz was easy, everybody would play it. So let's what if I went, you know, I honestly like that better up here. your choice. You can use whatever you want. The lesson said this note and this note. I happen to like this one over here, but I'm going to start with that. So let's hear that. Let's play that over the our backing track here and see what we get here. That's the wrong click. Let's try this and go. I screwed it up. Let's try again. Okay. Click. Oh, I gotta press play. It doesn't loop. I guess I could put it on loop. I'll have to stop it myself. Okay, let's try this again. 2, 3. Get ready for it in the beginning. Like that better? Screwed it all up there. Anyways, I think that does work to get the thing picked up and rocking before you're even arpeggiating the chord. Kind of leads the listener, gets you thinking something, and then you're hammering out the A minor chord, especially since that is pretty basic, just to arpeggiate. It's good to have something there to throw the listener beforehand. So there's your first enclosure. Without much further ado, let's actually try it on this using this note down here and see how that sounds. We'll try that with the backing track. So I'm going to, just to be clear here for everybody, I'm going to take this note here, which is also the 1, and we know that because that's an octave pattern right there. It's an octave away. And I'm just going to put the same thing as here. The A and the B are just above and below this 1 note here. So let's try that and hear how it sounds. All right, here we go. Let's try that again. I played with the beat a little bit in the enclosure part and at the very end where when I went, I kind of skipped the beat. I went, would have been just blah, 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 but I went blah, 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 wait, and went on one of the offbeats. So you can kind of pause on any one of them notes and shift the rhythm around a bit. And so that was the first enclosure. That's kind of cool. Kind of works there. Let's get a little deeper here. Let's get a little closer and don't be shy. Get a little closer with chewing gum in your eye. I don't know. I'm sorry. So this is going to be our next note, and how am I going to describe this one? Because there's some overlapping notes here. I'll keep the original one in there, and we're going to walk up 2, 3, 4 of the A minor chord, but on this D minor 7 here, we're going to reorder things here. I'm no longer going to play this one as a, that's going to now be part of the G chord, and we're going to use this as the, we're going to play this note, is the G chord, and we're going to use this as one of the approach notes. And I believe this one is going to be in there too. Yeah, it is. Okay. And also, I'm going to turn this one green because even though that is, you were still going to play it in the same spot of the 4 chords, or sorry, the 2 chord, or which would be our 1 chord. The 2-5-1. So let's call it the 2 chord. It's the first chord that we're starting on. So for the people that get confused over that stuff, because the 1 chord is the G. It's at the end. 2-5-1. Just as a refresher for the newbies. It's still going to be the 4th beat of our 2 chord, but it's counting as the enclosure for this F sharp here. And we're also going to be kind of considering this as our enclosure as well. So, little thought process going on in my head here. So there's the 4. Then we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Okay, so what has gone on here? Okay. I'm actually going to turn this one back to red. And let's renumber these then. We're going to play this here for, it's going to be a 1. This guy's going to be, we'll make that a 2. This one is going to be the 3. And then this one is going to be the 4. And we are not going to be playing this note again. So we're leaving this one off this time. That's the root, which we don't necessarily need. So we're just going to consider that not played and devoid of anything for clarity. And then I'm going to leave these. We're just going to play the blue for our 5 chord. Then we're just going to play the, we're going, yeah, let's consider this then the 1 of the 5 chord. Three, and that's going to be 4. So as you can see, we're going one, two, three. Okay, so I guess in a way, this is what we're going to do here. We're going to call this the 4 would be a better description there. So this gets a little confusing. So why don't we for our 5 chord, why don't we use A, B, C? So we're going to go A. I'm sure you guys can get this anyways, but let's do it like this. Backspace, so that's easier. C, and then D. So we're not, then we've got we're using 3 beats on the G chord, so this would be then technically the 1, the 2, and the 3. All right, so here's what we got. We're gonna go A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3. So you can follow that, and it should sound like this. Now I'm going to play it vanilla also as well first, and then we'll experiment over juggling the notes over the beats a little bit, and I think it'll sound a little better. So yeah, let's play through first. I'll pick everything up. I'll get it in our ears once again. That was the old way. Here we go again. Screwed it up a bit, but getting better. A little late on the end there. So you can see that the D probably going to need to take the most care with this note right here because it's the most out of place note. However, you're working in between chord tones, you're leading to someplace, so it's not totally out of place. So it's got that jazzy sound, or it can have that jazzy sound, but it's where it goes over the beat that's going to be important. I tend to use it as a fall into, even though it's the fourth, supposed to be on the fourth beat of the that measure there. I think I delay it and put it. So I think it sounds better if you delay it and put it on an offbeat, sliding into the strong beat of the 1 chord there, 1 chord there, and then emphasize this more as the first note, even though you're. Now that's still the fourth beat of we would be at the fourth beat of the 2 chord. But you want to play that as like a strong, it's just kind of weird that you just think about it and it sounds a little different, but I think about it as a. That's probably the way to make it sound more jazzy. So now you're not really as concerned about these bar lines anymore, now that these lines are kind of allowing you to play over the bar line, which is sort of a jazz technique in itself. So let's try it a couple more times for this one, and we'll get to our last one. So I'm trying to eliminate the sliding sound. That's a little bit more prog rock in there, more not really a jazz style of playing. You can't delay it that much. I like that. All right. So I'm not so sure I'd be explaining it right, mentioning where I think it is falling over the beat, because I'm not really paying attention like that. And our beat isn't exactly a jazz beat. It's a shuffle, but it's more like a country shuffle more than a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. It's not, I think where I'm way off on a jazz style beat. And in the program I used to quickly make this, there wasn't really a jazz section per se. I probably should have used my contact drums. It's a little more cumbersome to plug in a beat, but that I think has a more dedicated jazz shuffle section. That might have been a little more appropriate for this video, but it is what it is. Let's move on. So now I'm going to revert back to I'm going to go back to the original pattern here with the so let's see what we can do here. So I don't want to remake that too much. Maybe let me use this one. I guess we'll use this one. What the hell? Because we got, never mind. So we got, we're going to just go back to A, and we're going to eliminate this one completely. We're going to go back to white, and we're going to erase what's in there. And this will be B, this will be red, and it'll be a C. Not a note, of course, but just the order in which we are playing these notes. And in this case, you know what? I remember this one is now the one that is not played. So let's take that back. Do 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 do. See, now it's in my brain, and my brain starts making up lyrics. A very naughty girl, right? Something, something, say something about something. Okay, so that one is gone. It's a goner. You could try to mix that last one up with the one I'm about to show you too. But so this one goes, I even think this one's gone too. Let's get rid of that for now. All right. So now our enclosure, the exposure of enclosures, it's going to be right here around this 3. So I'm going to call, since we've only got, this is going to be the last note in our D7 section. Now, however, well, and it works because that's an A. So we are still playing the 5th of the chord, not bad. But we're enclosing this 3rd, and we're going to enclose it by going. We're going to dance around it. We're going to go. using 3 beats on the G. We don't need to use all 4 there. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3. So you can see how the enclosure works. Oh. Actually, 2, 3. We put a. All right, 3 and 4 is how I'm going to do this. These are up here because I'm repeating where I've already got a 1 and a 3 in the box. So I'm going to go, oh, and then we got to go, well, actually then what we can do is go 4. And that'll make more sense. Okay. So yeah, where's the 3? So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going around that blue note, the blue 4 there, which incidentally is that's the 3rd of the G, right? So, or yeah, that's a B right there, G, A, B, yeah, okay, so, which is here. So, first we're walking the 4th note of the melody line from the D7 is there, that we have labeled as D on there, which would be the A note of the G string. Half step up, and we skip over that blue note to 2, back down, was what now is our beat 3 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Confusing fingering pattern there, but jazz is like that. So let's hear it over the backing track and see what we got. Get that thing, we're gonna get a cursor here back to 0. Okay. I like to playing with the rhythm there because there seems to be a kind of pretty big tension over that note. It doesn't necessarily, I think it sounds more appropriate if you put it on and try to shove it onto an offbeat. Playing it on a strong beat really brings out its awkwardness there. I just disregarded the beat totally, and think that does it a better, makes it sound a little better. I'm gonna leave it at that today, though. I'll play through a couple more times. Back to that one. I'm gonna try. That sounds better. try to take a little emphasis off of it by just playing it late and then using it as a slide. Well, anyways, then you can, as you heard, you can then go off and do your own thing for a little while. And then you can then really begin to start concocting lines that work or have some kind of semblance over 251 that isn't just noodling or simply not totally knowing what to do. I mean, because at the end of the day, since they all occur from one key center, you could just noodle over the parent key in G minor. Let's try that for a little bit. The only problem with this loop is there's a pause in between the where it repeats again, so it kind of screws up the beat there. But let's try this a little bit. And noodle around in G. Sounds a little noodly, but that was just using the this shape. Which is the third box shape of the G major, which is sometimes known as the Phrygian scale because it's starting on that third note. On a little scaler. Nobody plays straight up scales like that in jazz. I mean, it's no rule says you can't, but it's not as stylish, I don't think. So that's most of the rambling I'll do for this lesson. I'm sure I just went on for another typical hour. Matter of fact, let me check the timestamp here while I get prepared to close the video. And say goodbye to everyone. Hope you like, hope you subscribe. I mean, definitely just at the very least, pound the like button. Just like it. If I can get another subscriber out of you, that's awesome. I'd like to thank, over the last week, there were 2 other subscribers to the channel. Both of you deserve name recognition. However, I'm going to try to look so fast and see who the heck you were. But just be rest assured, at this point, nobody's listening to the video anymore. Everybody's clicked off. So, I don't have my, that would be notifications, and let's scroll up here this week, and Mark Sugadam. Oh, that was a reply. Thought that was a subscriber, but anyways, new subscriber. I don't even see it, it's not here. So you subscribed out there, and I thank you. And if you didn't do so now, we're always trying to make new lessons that if the content is kind of squonky sometimes, at least the format's cool. I mean, no one shows you, really spells it out on a grid like this. So tell me what you in the comments would like to see me cover, and we'll go from there. You know what? There actually was a final part to this lesson. What, 54 minutes? Oh, I got 6 minutes to make it an hour-long video that nobody likes to watch. And in 6 minutes, I can show you this. But it doesn't, I haven't found that it works so well, but I went over another lesson. This great guitar teacher, I think I'm gonna tell you about him here. His name is You got to check out this dude's channel. It's awesome. He had this great pentatonic lesson. I think I'm going to make a lesson about it. It was called, no, it wasn't Cameron Ford music, but it's not a bad teacher. Oh, Steve Allsworth. Steve Allsworth. Type in Google YouTube search Steve, Allsworth. Steve Allsworth, awesome guitar teacher. One of the very best I found. So straightforward, clean cut lessons with nothing pretentious, just cool, easy to understand information, well spoken, great editing, just fucking really good. Excuse my language. And he did this pentatonic lesson where he showed where some odd, unusual pentatonics you could play over chords. So let's take this chord shape that I got here in blue, this G. Let's move it up to C. So I'm playing that shape off of the 8th fret. Then we start a minor pentatonic shape off the 7th fret. It's got a cooler sound. And so he showed that if that was the 1 in your 2-5-1, so in this case it would be but let's say we made the 5 chord. Oh, I'm sorry. We're clipping a bit here, sorry. There's too much bass. Any bar? Playing a sharp 5 on that 7 chord, or I'm sorry, on the 5 chord. So he showed that you could play on that 1 chord, the D minor, solo over the use your A minor pentatonic shape. Over the 5 chord, move that step up a half, move that minor pentatonic up a half step, which to me, it's sounding a little more awkward than I heard him describe in that lesson. And then over the 1 chord, you're really getting some tension notes there in the 5 chord. Now, what works is that it's the 5 chord, and that is the place in the progression where you're going to want to add tension. Not good. Not great. That's okay. That works. You can hear all those sound good over the C chord has a nice resolve with some spicier notes in there. So yours to choose. Would have been nice to graph that out, but I'll need a little polishing up on that before I turn that into a lesson. Anyways, Thank you for watching all. I hope you made it this far. And have a great day. Remember to be friendly to your neighbor. Um, and remember to agree to disagree when the time comes. All right. Have a great day. See you next lesson. Hopefully, I don't know, next week or something. Or maybe this week.